Welcome back to another episode of Thread the Needle. I'm your boy Mario, and I appreciate y'all for joining me today. Again, y'all already know what time it is. Y'all know we on the road to 100 subs. So if you new, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, turn on that bell. And make sure you share it with your friends. Let's like, comment, all that good stuff. We trying to get out there, trying to get them algorithms. And the only way we can do that is if y'all share it. So if you like the content, if you like your boy, if you know what I'm saying, you like what I'm putting out, you like the consistency, show some love. It's free to subscribe, you know what I'm saying? It's free. It's free. I ain't trying to take none of your money. But, we ain't gonna get into that. But look, it's officially NBA time on this channel. The Super Bowl is this Sunday. So, it's about time that we start getting into this NBA bag a little bit, this basketball bag too, because we can do college basketball too. We can go hoops, you know what I'm saying? We can hoop wherever. But it's time to go and get into that. It's a lot going on in the NBA right now. It's a lot going on, and it's also not a lot going on. But regardless, we're here to cover it all. So like I said, if you like the content and all that, hit that subscribe button down below, like, comment, share with your friends, all that. So, first order of business, let's talk about it. So, the biggest elephant in the room right now in the NBA is definitely this Giannis trade that's kind of impending, I guess. When the report came out from Shams, it wasn't necessarily a trade request from Giannis. It was more so that the Bucks were just more willing to listen to offers and that Giannis was open to a trade. But it didn't necessarily say that Giannis requested a trade. So I don't know if the request came formally or if it's more of both sides are just open. I don't know. I mean, that's what Shams worded it, so that's what we got to go with for right now. But this feels like something that is probably a year or two too late for the Bucks. Just because I feel like, yes, you can still get a haul. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we saw what Brooklyn got for the Kevin Durant trade, but at the same time, like, because some of the teams that were, like, the only team for the Bucks that I've seen get mentioned that makes sense is OKC. OKC has a lot of talent that, Milwaukee could probably be satisfied with letting Giannis go. But outside of really OKC, and I'm trying to think of what other team I saw. Honestly, that's like really the only team I can think of that can really give the Bucks something substantial, something that they can hang their hat on. Like, you know what? We had to give Giannis up, but at least we brought back so-and-so. I mean, because if you look at, I saw the Heat. I don't know who on the Heat the Bucks would want. I saw, who else I saw? The Warriors. I don't know who on the Warriors the Bucks would want. I saw the Raptors. I don't know who on the Raptors the Bucks would want. Who else I saw? I don't know, but you get my point. Like, I think that they waited too long to trade him. I get why not. I mean, you don't just want to trade a Giannis Antetokounmpo type of player, but knowing that the outcome was going to end up being this anyway, they're going to end up trading him a year or two too late. That's even if they trade him at the deadline, because they might try to hold on to him through the season, and then, they might revisit it in the offseason, which I don't think it would be a good idea. I think if the plan is, let's just go ahead and mutually move on, let's go ahead and do it now at the deadline. That way, whoever the Bucks get in return, they can start, figuring out what their next moves are going to be. And then on top of that, they get, draft compensation and all that. They can kind of figure out what they want to do in the draft. And then, for Giannis, obviously you want to go ahead and get to your new team, especially if it's one of the teams that's in the playoff hunt, which presumably it will be. You want to try to go ahead and get there early enough so that, by the time it's for the playoff, but really after the All-Star break is really the playoff push, really. So you want to make sure you're with your new teammates and trying to build that chemistry for when the playoffs come around. So I think it's inevitable. I think it should happen. I think both sides. I was about to say I think both sides could benefit, but I honestly don't see what the benefit is for the Bucks right now, unless, like I said, they pull the trigger with OKC and get some of their young guys, and then try to get some draft compensation. That's the only way I can really see Milwaukee winning in any way out of this. Outside of that, it's just looking unlikely to me. And it sucks. I am a Celtics fan, obviously, but I respect the Giannis and I respect the Milwaukee because they had Giannis, and now Milwaukee is going to have to transition into a new era, the post Giannis era, and it was an era that brought them a championship, so we can't say it was a failed era. Now, granted, we probably thought that Giannis and the Bucks probably should have won or could have won more than one ring. That's neither here nor there. I mean, it's hard enough to win regardless, and they won in 2021. So I think both sides have to look at it as like, hey, maybe this was the best that we could get out of this situation, but it's time to move on. And I don't see how you can fault either side for that. But man, I mean, you just look at all the times that Milwaukee could have potentially rectified this. Giannis has been very, very vocal about wanting a better roster around him, and it was times where Milwaukee tried to make it happen. I mean, they made it happen when they got Drew Holiday in 2021, and then they've tried other little moves here and there, getting Dame. Dame didn't work. Obviously, he got hurt. But, I mean, you got to look at it as an organization and think, did we really do enough to maximize the talent that we had in Giannis Antetokounmpo? And I think you could argue that they didn't. Now, like I said, they won a championship. You cannot take that away from them. That is an accomplishment in itself. And, we had to applaud them on that. But when you have a talent like a Giannis, a top 3 in the league talent, like the expectation is higher, regardless of whatever team. If Giannis is on the Wizards, the expectation is more than one ring. It don't really matter what team when you got someone like as great as Giannis. Someone that when he retires is in conversations to be the greatest at his position when he retires. You're expected to win more, but is it a fair expectation? We can argue. I think it's not a fair. I think it's a fair expectation. Excuse me, because like I said, I think you just look at the opportunities that were missed by Milwaukee, and you can definitely say that if they capitalize on those a little bit better, maybe we're talking about Giannis as a 2-3-time champion. I think he won the MVP twice or 3 times. He won a Defensive Player of the Year. Giannis' resume is looking a little crazy right now, but I'm excited to see what the move is going to be for both Giannis and for Milwaukee, seeing what their next era will be. It's not gonna be easy, and I expect Milwaukee to fall off a cliff a little bit. I mean, they already kind of falling off a little bit, but man, no Giannis is tough. So another trade that we also got to talk about that potentially could happen is James Harden being on the move from LA, which it kind of makes sense. The Clippers have had a down season this year. I think it's a mutual thing as well. It's kind of with the Giannis. I think both sides just think it's time to move on. I think it definitely makes sense for Harden. Harden is trying to find any way he can to win because Obviously he's still a Hall of Fame all-time great, but him having close to no success in the playoffs. Obviously, he had that one year where, they almost beat the Warriors, but outside of that, he really hasn't had much success in the playoffs. So, he's kind of trying to chase a little something different right now. Excuse me. But the rumor right now is that the Cavaliers are going to make a move for James Harden, and it's Darius Garland going to the Clippers. And I'm assuming there'll probably be like some more picks and, maybe a filler player here and there. But it's an interesting trade. I don't know how much I like it for the Clippers. I kind of like it for the Cavs. It makes sense, a backcourt of James Harden and Donovan Mitchell with, they just traded DeAndre Hunter. I was about to say him. But they got still Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Depending on what they do at that 3 spot, the Cavs could be tough. As a Celtics fan, am I really worried about that? Not necessarily. Granted, I don't think there's really a team in the East that just scares me this season. The Pistons have been hooping, don't get me wrong, but am I afraid of the Pistons? No, I'm not. The Knicks knocked us out of the playoffs last year, but am I afraid of the Knicks? Of course not. The East is a little wide open if you ask me. The fact that the Celtics are the 3 seed with no Jason Tatum kind of lets you know everything right there. But it'd be interesting to see how the fit works. Maybe I want to see what maybe the Cavs try to do something at that 3 spot as well. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not really locked in with the Cavs, to be honest. So I don't know if they have someone that's been hooping better than Hunter. I know the main reason was kind of just because Hunter hasn't necessarily been hooping that much this season, and they're not really trying to pay that contract, so it made sense in that aspect. But they got back Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. So added some depth to the backcourt. So I like those, like that move. But they still have that open spot in the wing position. So until they feel that, there's nothing really worrying me as a Celtics fan who has 2 big wings who can get buckets on anybody at any time. But that's just the homer in me and everything. But you know what I'm saying? Like I said, we just had to hop on the NBA wave a little bit. We're going to start doing more NBA deep dives. We're going to start getting into college basketball. March Madness coming up in about a month. It's time. It's time for basketball season, baby. Basketball season's already been going on, but we getting into the swing of things in basketball. The playoff, March Madness, and then, the playoffs will be this summer and everything. Make sure you keep it locked here. The road to 100 subs, thread the needle. Y'all know what time it is, baby. Like I said earlier, if you're new, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, get notified when I upload. And yeah, man, y'all know what time it is, man. Thread the needle, road to 100. And we out. Peace.